That's my favorite thing. I love eggplant now. I hated eggplant when I was a kid. Sorry, Mom. So they brought us the menu. So here's the menu. They just gave me an iPad and said, here you go. So I gotta find, it's nice that they have the pictures and everything, since I don't read Chinese. So, I don't eat meat. So you gotta tell me, like, what do the tabs on the side say here? Do they have like a veggie category, like vegetables?
This is a veggie category. Yeah.
Down at the bottom? Really? They say 1, 2, 3 eggplant?
Yeah, why? Because when you
makes
say...
you smile?
Yeah, 茄子.
So like we say cheese.
Yeah,
cheese.
exactly.
茄子. Okay, so this is my kind of stuff down here. So I'm gonna get one of those. All right, so that's how you order in a Chinese restaurant. Some differences between eating in a restaurant in China and eating in a restaurant in the US. So one is, at least in Hong Kong, the restaurants get super crowded in Hong Kong at lunchtime. So number one, like you don't see restaurants this big in Hong Kong most of the time. There's some, but most restaurants are super tiny and they're super packed. And if you sit somewhere, like at this table in the US, you wouldn't expect somebody to come sit down next to you. But in Hong Kong, you would. I mean, they'll just cram people in right next to you. That's totally normal in Hong Kong to sit. And then somebody comes and sits down right next to you or right across from you, and you have lunch together. That's just totally normal in Hong Kong, and it really threw me off when I first moved here. So it's just the sense of personal space is different here than it is in the US. And it's funny to see expats come over and they act like the Hong Kongers or the Chinese are being all rude or something. It's like, it has nothing to do with rudeness. It's just, that's normal. You just sit at tables together and everybody kind of is right next to each other. So that's one big difference about eating over here in China versus the US. Obviously chopsticks are another big difference. So I've kind of noticed in meals, like sometimes everybody starts out using the serving chopsticks, and then by the end of the meal everybody's just kind of grabbing stuff with their own chopsticks. It's kind of the whole double dipping thing. One big difference is that customer service is different here than it is in the US. So you'll go into a Hong Kong restaurant or a Chinese restaurant and nobody will do anything. Like no waiter comes over. I mean, this is frequently, but it's starting to change, I think. But you'll go into a place and just nobody does anything and you're like, okay, like, do I sit down? What do I do? Where do I go? And they just kind of expect you to go find a seat, sit down, and then you'll sit down. And if they do help you sit down, they'll help you sit down, and then they never come back. You have to call out to them and say, hey, Fu Yan, like, come and help me and order. And they expect you to yell at them when you're ready to order. They don't just come by and say, hey, can I help you? Are you ready to order? Like, that's not the normal way over here. And again, it's not that they're being rude, it's just that's just not the way they've ever done it over here, I guess. Because whenever you go into a restaurant, normally they don't help you until you yell at them and say, hey, come over here and take my order. Lack of napkins. Now, she actually brought us a package of Kleenex or tissue to use for napkins, but there's no other napkin on the table. Like in the US, there would be like a big cloth napkin here at a nice restaurant. And if you go to a fast food restaurant, there's going to be a big box of napkins on the table. This is what you get here.
You have to pay for it.
Oh, we have to pay for it? And in most places, they don't even give you this. Most places, there's nothing on the table, or there might be a box with some tissues there, but like Kleenex, not like napkins, like Kleenex. So that's another difference between American and Chinese restaurants. I love this in Asia. There's no tipping at restaurants. And you don't tip the taxi driver, anything like that. You never tip anybody. Unless you go to a hotel that's like super westernized, then I think they're trained to just accept it. Yeah. They don't expect it. So, but in a restaurant here, you never tip. Like they don't even know what it is. Yeah. If you leave money on the table, like Jay was saying, they'll come running after you and be like, hey, you left your money here. So you never tip at a restaurant, you never tip the taxi driver, you don't tip at the hotel. There's no tipping anywhere here. And it's not like you're going to be super polite if you tip. It's like you're just going to confuse people. They will have no idea, literally no idea what you're doing if you try to tip them or if you leave money on the table. which is great because tipping is just like an inconvenience, right? It's like you have to figure out the math, because in US, typically you tip at 15%. Well, it's like the minimum is 15%, and then if you're more generous, you'll tip at 20 or 25% if you're like a really generous person. But most people will tip at 15%. But then, yeah, like now they'll give you a receipt. When you get the receipt in the US, it'll actually have the math done for you. So it'll say like 15% is this much, 20% is this much of your bill. But here in China, no tipping, you just pay, you walk out, you're done. It's great, I love it. So I don't have to figure out all that math and stuff, and just don't have to deal with it. But now I go back to the US, and sometimes it's happened where I've forgotten to tip. Like I'll walk out of the restaurant, and then an hour later I'm like, oh, I didn't leave a tip. Like the waitress probably thinks I'm the rudest person in the world, or that I hated her service or something, when in reality I just got used to Asia and I just forgot about it. The other funny thing is just with the credit card. So here in China, nobody gets business cards anymore because everything's on WeChat these days. So like nobody's using business cards that much anymore. But in Hong Kong, business cards are still a big deal. Like there's this etiquette around giving out the business card. And so you give the business card with two hands like this. You hold it with your thumb and you give it to the person face up so that they can read the business card. But that's also how you hand over other things. If you're going to be polite, you don't just hand stuff to people like that. So even with your credit card, if you're giving the credit card to somebody at a restaurant or fast food or any little place, you hand them the credit card like this, here. So now I go back to the US and I'll give people the credit card like this, and they take it from me, they're like, okay. So anyway, it's just something that's come up in restaurants in the US is I hand people the credit card the Asian way, and then they stare at me and wonder what I'm doing, if I have some sort of problem or something. In the US, they come around and they say, hey, do you want some drinks? And then you get drinks. And then, hey, do you want some appetizers? You order appetizers. All right, you ready to order the main course? You order the main course. Here in Asia, you just order everything, and then they don't bring it out in stages. Like in the US, they'll bring you your drinks, then they bring you appetizers if you ordered any, and then when they bring you the food, they bring you all of your food at the same time, right? Because they don't want to bring your friend his food, and then he's like sitting there for 10 minutes waiting for your food to come. But here in China, there's no appetizers. I mean, they have appetizer type stuff, but they won't bring it out before. They'll just bring it out whenever, which might be at the end of the meal. So you order your food here, and they just bring it out whenever it gets done. So they might bring you your food, and then you're waiting for 10 minutes for them to bring you your friend's food. It just comes out whenever it's ready. And there's so many times that my wife and I have ordered food, and like the rice will come out like at the end of the meal. Like they'll bring us this plain rice, or like now we don't have anything to eat it with. Like the whole point was to put the food with the rice, and you brought the rice out last. So stuff like that happens a lot here.